Welcome back, everyone, to another Friday night live stream, Market Conversations. I'm JerryVHall, I'm your host. I'm so glad that you're tuning in, tuning on, and getting excited about where we are in the digital asset space. Tonight, I am absolutely overjoyed to bring a friend on, Mr. Mark Phillips. Many of you may be interacting with him already on a daily basis on Twitter. But those of you that are going to be meeting Mark for the first time tonight, I think you'll be impressed. Mark is an incredible man. I had the good fortune of having an hour-long taped interview with Mark approximately 5 or 6 months ago when I very first started doing this. And he so graciously agreed to join me tonight and talk about all the incredible things that he sees going on in crypto. So let's just for a moment pretend like there's some incredible graphics with some really cool kind of upbeat music that's going to happen, right? We'll pretend that happens for 10, 15, 20 seconds, and I'll bring in Mark. So, Mr. Mark, welcome to the show. How are you tonight?
Jerry, I'm great. It's so good to be back with you, man. How's Costa Rica?
You know, if it was any better, it would be Hawaii.
Well, I hear you. It is better. You don't have a big hurricane headed your way.
Well, that's true. We don't get a lot of that here. We're in our rainy season right now. So, like for instance, last night I saw one of the most incredible lightning storms, and it was literally like watching a sci-fi movie or a horror movie. I mean, it was just. And it went on for like 7-8 minutes. It seemed like forever. It was incredible to watch.
Do you have to pay extra for that?
No, that comes with the price of your passport. When you come down, they stamp it. Lightning storms are free.
I can't wait.
I know it's going to be fun hosting you. I cannot. There are so many people that have been so gracious throughout the comments of the videos that I've been producing, talking about, they've been to Costa Rica before and they want to return. And just like nothing but really good stuff. And I'm like, you know what? There's going to come a day here where I'll be able to like host up to 20 people at my property on, we'll call it the estate. And I look forward to having like an XRP community type party kind of thing. It'd be great for people to get to experience a safe exposure to a culture that maybe they don't get in their everyday lives, because it is definitely different down here, but in like a really good way.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. So, Jerry,
yeah,
it's been a really quiet week in the crypto space. What are we going to talk about?
I don't know. The crickets from the crypto space have been been kind of what I've been focused on. Now, Mark. You've been in this space longer than I have, and I can honestly say, I can say this in all honesty, I'm not trying to hype it or anything. The OCC PDF has been the biggest news to hit crypto since the day I walked in the door, and that was over 2+ years ago.
Yeah, me too. I have not heard anybody say anything different. In fact, I was listening to one of DAI's videos earlier today, and he's been around since in XRP since 2013. And he's still over the moon. This is, 3 days on from that announcement. And he is still sort of jumping with joy and talking about, this is the biggest single event in all of those years. Now, I don't think anybody believes we're there yet, but oh my goodness, that was a massive chunk of news.
Well, for a long, long time, right? Especially for those of us that have been kind of Ripple XRP focused. Right. This probably doesn't apply as much to the BCH folks or Ethereum folks, what have you. But as an XRP holder, we really tied our wagon, realistically. Let's put all the Spring Initiative stuff up to the side. We've tied our wagon to the performance of Ripple creating an enterprise-grade software package that would utilize XRP in the existing legacy financial network, right? That's banks and FIs trading value from one currency through XRP to another currency. You can say whatever you want about those other wonderful things, but that truly was, I think, once we get through it and be honest, that was the real value proposition. And we've had a hurdle getting into having those banks actually use this asset. Question to you: do you think that the clarity that was brought from the PDF is a green light for the banks to start creating products and utilizing the digital asset XRP?
I do. Now, here's a caveat. I'm not a banker. I'm not a financial advisor. So I am just an enthusiast like you. But it sure feels like that. And the proof, though, is going to be when we start to see marketing materials rolling out, when you start to have traditional financial advisors and investment firms and banks starting to offer that, or at least starting to talk about it. I would be willing to bet that the big banks were not caught off guard by the OCC statement. I would be willing to bet that they fully well knew that it was coming and were starting to position themselves. But I think the proof is going to be when you start to see that marketing material and products roll out very quickly. I think further down the road, we will all start to see, and this is going to be really interesting, things like mergers and acquisitions. So, for example, do you have somebody like a JP Morgan create their own capabilities, or do they go out and partner with, merge with, acquire somebody like Coinbase? One is certainly faster if you're trying to beat everybody else to the market and grab up as much market share as you can. And I think it's going to be like a gold rush. And I don't, that sounds, those are pretty big terms, but I think that really is what it's going to feel like as these banks see the opportunity, see the green light that they've now gotten from the OCC, and start to position themselves as quickly as possible to take advantage of it, because they see that there's profit to be made there. They're not going to turn it down.
I really appreciated that statement that you kind of opened up with, and that is that you don't think that this was a big shock to any of these banks. Like the board members at Bank of America went, it's about time. We knew this was coming. We didn't know exactly which organization was going to bring some clarity first, but it's sure nice to see the OCC do it, since they're the regulators that regulate us.
Right.
So, whether folks had inside knowledge or didn't have inside knowledge is one element. Let's go to Mike. Mike Shaw has a great question. We'll put it up here. Oops. Oh, there we go.
So I think the big banks are probably well on their way to being able to roll something out. There might be some more regulatory pieces that they're waiting on, but like I said, I'm not a banker, so I don't really know. When a government organization is doing some kind of policy work, they normally will go to their stakeholders and consult with the stakeholders. Hey, here's what we're thinking about doing. How would it affect you? So, we've heard the stories about how Ripple has gone to the regulators years ago and said, here's what we're trying to do. What do we need to do to make sure that we are compliant as we do this? Well, it works the other way around as well for the policymakers. They usually will go to the stakeholders, who, not all of them, but to some, so they can get some feedback, so they have a better understanding of how their ruling will be interpreted and what effect it will have on those who are going to be affected by the new policy. So I would be astounded if the OCC had not had some of those conversations with some of the big banks already. Not whispering in their ear, telling them, "Hey, we're going to do this. Get ready," because that, I don't know that would be fair. But having the conversation about what would happen if we did this, how should we structure this? Everybody knows regulatory clarity is coming at some point. There was a question about who was going to do it. Was it going to be the CFTC or the SEC or the OCC? And I think a lot of people had kind of overlooked the OCC. Brian Brooks, the acting head of the OCC several weeks ago, kind of gave us a clue when he said, the OCC is not going to be this small, little, never heard of organization. He wasn't kidding, right? So that's all we've been talking about, and that's just our little community. Wait till the banks start to roll this out, and I think that announcement will end up being a red letter day in financial history.
Boy, it sure would be nice to. You know, Mark, you like myself, I consider you a veteran. You've been around, you've been doing this for years. And you know, when, like, I remember what drew me to you initially. I caught something that you did on Twitter, and I'll never forget it. You actually detailed the walk, crawl, run analogy that had been kind of made famous in Twitter, that Brad Garlinghouse stated was going to be kind of the Ripple march to success. First, we got to crawl, then we got to walk, then we got to run.
Right.
And you did a small paper on it, an article. I was like, I got to talk to this guy. Now, do you still? No, better question. Where do you see us in that analogy?
Us being Ripple, or us being the
space? Or let's go Ripple. Let's keep it simple. Ripple.
I still think we're crawling.
Okay.
A lot of people have in sort of the crypto Twitterverse this last week or so have been talking about the fact that the market, even though you'll have some currencies, cryptocurrencies or digital assets go up and go down in value, most of that is us, just a small group of us enthusiasts moving our money back and forth between one or the other. You're not seeing the overall market cap go up very much. It went up some this week with that announcement, but still you're not seeing it go up tremendously, which just tells me that the big money hasn't come in yet. If the big money hasn't come in yet, I don't have any way of knowing what Brad exactly meant when he said crawl, walk, run. But we're certainly not running. Are we walking? Well, I mean, they've put together some incredible partnerships. They've got all kinds of, if this was a chess game, they've put their chess pieces in the right positions to be ready to go. But I don't think anybody's, we haven't seen or heard the starting gun yet. And so I think that's very close. It feels very close. But, we wouldn't be having this question about, are we there yet? If we were there. Right. Obvious. I mean, for anybody who lived through any of the previous bull runs, like the most recent one, the big one in late 2017, there was no question about what was going on at that point. And that was just speculation. That was nothing more than speculation among a relatively small group of people with a relatively small amount of money. I mean, it was big money for me, but in the big scheme of finance, it was peanuts.
Right.
That's not going to be the case this next time, now that the institutions are starting to be cleared to come in. So in my mind, it's just crazy exciting.
I'm very excited too. And I'll tell you, I, like yourself, don't get really swept up in the undulations of lower cap tokens. For one, it doesn't take a lot of money to move a small cap coin up and down.
That's right.
So that's one factor. But the other factor, and I got this from Tom Lee from Fundstrat, I don't know, maybe 18 months ago. It was in it was a recorded conversation, so it was made public. He talked about how it takes approximately $1 billion into the crypto market to increase the crypto market's market cap by 25 billion.
Right.
So for crypto market cap to go up 25 billion, it only took 1 billion of real dollars coming in to the system.
Right.
And so I thought about that, and one of the backdrops that I would kind of always gauge that off of, right, as kind of an indicator for me to let me know how we're doing, is the backdrop of the biggest proof of work coins, the Bitcoin and Ethereum and Bitcoin Cash and Litecoin, the amount of drain, and when I say drain, I'm talking about the money that gets taken out of the system every single day just to cover how much it costs to do proof of work.
Right.
You know, there are millions upon millions upon millions of dollars that are getting taken out of this ecosystem every day and paid to electric companies and landlords or people that own the property that they're leasing to have their mining farms on, et cetera, to pay back investors, except, you know, there's a lot of money that has to be extracted just to cover the operating costs of proof of work.
Absolutely.
So for us to maintain 270, 280 billion for a year tells me that there has been an inflow of new money, because I know that there's a constant drag regardless of what we're doing, right? So that's a good sign. Now, when I see it start inching up and I'm thinking to myself, here's some milestones. I want to see over 300 billion. I want to see over 500 billion by the end of the year.
Right.
I'd like to see $1 trillion by end of Q1, 2021.
Right.
That will, to me, be the confirmations that enough new money is coming in that it's setting the stage for what could be a Cambrian explosion.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, if they take the hey, Mickey B. Fresh is in the house. Oh, you talk about a smart dude. That is a smart guy right there.
Dude, I need somebody, when I'm on the phone with Mickey talking about stuff, I need somebody to translate to stupid for me. I want to tell him, I say, Mickey, talk to me like I'm your Labrador retriever.
Yeah, me too. You know, the cool thing is listening to so many of the smart people in this community forces me to learn, to think about things from different perspectives, to learn new terminology, and it's just amazing. It's like going back and getting an MBA.
You know, Mark, you and I are thinking of the same thing. My financial literacy has grown exponentially. I mean, it's hard to even measure where I am today, where I came from 2.5 years ago when I got to this space. You know, basically I equated to when I got here, I knew how to balance a checkbook. And now, God, this almost sounds conceited. Now I'm actually walking people through investment strategies to capitalize on market forces that are beyond that whole paradigm of I'm going to trade my time for money. You know, I'm actually going to use tools and procedures within capital markets to have my money make money.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. And think about all of us who are doing things like watching congressional testimony, and who would have done that? Not just any congressional testimony, on finance, who does that?
Geeks and nerds like you and me.
I know, it's crazy. It is absolutely crazy.
We got Idge Addis. It's got, since Ripple is doing pre-IPO SPV, do you think the stock is better option than XRP? I don't know which is better. I think XRP is this is where I'm coming from. Mark, you answered the same thing, but I'll tell you where I go first. XRP is my bet on a digital economy, and the fact that I believe that digital economy will have such disparity in value that it will need a neutral bridge.
Yes.
So that's my bet on XRP. If I had more money, I would definitely be interested in getting Ripple stock, because I think Ripple is built a best-in-class enterprise blockchain company.
Yep. Yeah. So if you look at the SPVs that are being offered right now on Link2 on their platform, which is absolutely incredible. Obviously, you're not buying stock like you would be able to do after they've IPO'd. But we're getting as close to it as possible. I mean, it's essentially stock without the voting rights. Would I like to have some Ripple or Uphold or Coinbase? Absolutely. Am I going to sell my, and I know we're about to be able to do that, sell my XRP or buy those SPVs with XRP? As much as I would love to own a chunk of Ripple, the company, my gut tells me that XRP, the token or the cryptocurrency, is going to have a so much larger percent growth that's the best, that's probably the best play. Now, when it's time to start diversifying out and they've IPO'd, am I going to move some of it over into stock from some of these core companies like Ripple and Uphold? Absolutely. I think that is going to be your chance to get in on, what became the, Google or Alphabet and Amazon and Apple and so forth 20 or 30 years ago. Right now it's like all of us, it's like, okay, I got $100. Where do I put it? I think this is the better bet. I think it's the more immediate, bigger payoff, but that is the bet, right? It's not a sure thing. It's a bit of a gamble. What do you think?
I walked through this in my head. Now, everybody is different, right? Everybody's starting point has been different. Everybody has different. So there's no one size fit all strategy kind of this. But I've worked through knowing exactly what JerryVHall has now, and I'm totally okay with being public. You don't need to share any of your stuff, but I have an average cost of 42 cents per XRP. I cannot justify using XRP at 20 cents per token to buy Ripple stock. I just can't. Matter of fact, I can't justify using a crypto credit card, like a Visa WireX card to spend XRP at 20 cents when it costs me 42 cents to acquire it.
Right.
So all of those kind of things, that's my situation. Now, I was talking to somebody. I got a guy that calls me. I'm sharing with him my experience and my opinion, mostly my opinion. And he seems to want it, so he keeps calling back. And he asked me this specific question about this link to. And I told him, I said, well, be real with yourself. Where are you at? Well, he says, I just started buying about a month and a half ago, and I've acquired X amount. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, your average cost? He goes, not really. I go, you know exactly how many XRP you have, right? He goes, yes. I go, do you know exactly how many US dollars it took to buy that amount of XRP? He says, yes. I said, divide one into the other. Boom. That's your average cost. Oh, okay. I said, if this thing goes up to 35 cents and Ripple offers you an opportunity, whether through Link 2 or through some other private distribution method, to buy Ripple stock, and you really want Ripple stock, think of it like this. You're getting 75% more than you would have using your own US dollar.
Right.
Oh, now all of a sudden, the entire what we would call margin on the trade is now completely skewed to the other side. So whereas I am like handcuffed, I can't do anything unless I want to take a loss.
Right.
This guy can literally, do an exchange. Now, I don't know if he's in a position from a tax perspective to get a stock or exchange where it's value for value. If that's the case, then that's almost a no-brainer.
Yeah.
But there may be a tax implication, and you need to understand what state you're in, what those state taxes are. You need to understand what country you're in and what the national or federal tax code at the time of the transaction is, because they do have an effect, believe me.
Right.
These entities like the IRS in the United States, they don't mess around.
Right. Bill Gould, if we can put his question back up. He was asking about, there we go, which one's going to be more versatile, Ripple stock or XRP? I think he's right. I think XRP is going to be more versatile, but and I'm going to say something, and you might reach out, through the internet and smack me in the forehead, and that's okay. I actually think XRP is the safer bet. And here's why. The folks at Ripple have said that, and this has been in response to accusations that they're just dumping XRP on the market and it's cratering the price. They said, look, we don't succeed unless XRP succeeds. And that's true. But XRP can succeed even if Ripple, the company, doesn't. So if it gets picked up and is just used in remittances or micropayments, and this big thing with institutions moving using XRP in major ways, if that never takes off, and all it ever is used for are these micropayments or streaming payments, say on Twitch or to instant payments for Uber drivers or something like that, it can still be self-sustaining. It could still be a good investment, even so you pay 20 cents a piece now. It could do much more than that without ever getting to that big mainstream mass adoption by the institutions and governments. So I think your odds of having some kind of success are better with XRP. If Ripple is successful in the big things they're trying to do, then XRP is going to be crazy successful on top of it. So for that reason, I think XRP is actually a safer bet than trying to get Ripple stock right now. Although I think Ripple stock is going to be a gold standard, eventually. So it will be like getting Apple stock back in the day.
Michael, thanks for your question. The IPO is for traditionalists who don't understand and don't want to understand crypto, but want to invest in an up-and-coming company. That could be right. I think it'll be touted as a fintech Amazon potential, for sure.
Yeah. Now, even though I just said all that, if I could get my hands on some Ripple stock, I would still do it.
Well, I want to piggyback on your thought, Mark, because something you brought up. I think everything is relative, right? Everything is relative to the person. So, for instance, somebody that got in and their average price is at 75 cents.
Right.
Let's say Ripple went away. How long would it take for XRP to be used enough and sought after enough and have the dynamics of supply and demand kick in where the market is willing to pay 75 cents or higher? I don't know, but I can tell you it would take a lot longer to get to 75 cents without Ripple than it will with Ripple.
Absolutely. And I was just giving you a hypothetical, Jerry.
Honestly, it's good.
I think they're both going to do really well, and they're going to do especially well together. That Ripple was made to work with, XRP was made to work with Ripple's products for obvious reasons. And I think they're both going to succeed, and it's going to be spectacular. That's what I'm betting on. So I think anybody who's doing any of this is going to be just fine.
Oh, I think so too. But again, everything is relative to your position. Regardless, we all should know where we are at.
Sure.
Right? Everybody should know their average cost per token. You should know how much actual dollars you put into the market. You should understand what you're holding. That is very, very important. Now, there's another element, and we'll get to Egypt Addis question in just a second, and that is knowing what you have. Hopefully, there's also a future plan associated to that. Mm-hmm. Just coming in and buying something in hopes that it's going to explode and make you rich without a real thought out exit strategy, a plan, then chances are you will fall victim to emotional ups and downs and weirdnesses that could create results that are contrary to what you really, really, really do want. So I encourage all the newer folks that are coming in and having an incredible opportunity, right? When I got here, I was buying my first XRP at $1.08. You folks that are coming in since 2020, you're getting it at 20 cents.
I bought my first at about $3.50.
There you have it.
This was in uh, November, December, I guess December of 2017.
Yep.
And I was fighting to have to do that because you couldn't get on an exchange at that point. The whole ecosystem has matured to the point where that's much less of a problem. But I've continued to buy even as it's gone down because I believe in what it's doing and what its potential is. Jerry, you brought up a really, really great point, and that is having a plan. And it can be as sophisticated or as simple as you want it, but it's really, really important to think through what it is you're trying to accomplish, and then building out a plan on paper, have it written down somewhere that this is how I'm going to do it. And for the reason you just said, once the market kicks off and it starts going up and down, the emotions get involved. And now's the perfect time while the price is sitting flat to think through what am I trying to accomplish? How much do I need to purchase to get there? At what price points will I plan on getting out? Whether that means getting out into dollars or getting out into some other asset, or if you're not going to get out at all and you're just going to leverage what you have. So for example, if you are able to stake it and get interest off that investment, and you just want to keep the XRP or the VeChain or whatever the asset is, think through that now and come up with your plan. Because once the market kicks off, the emotions kick off as well, and it's really hard to do. And it's not necessarily obvious if you haven't lived through it. When the market's going up and up and up, and you say, I told myself I was going to sell at this price point, and it hit it today. There's this little voice in most of our brains that goes, yeah, but it's going up. Tomorrow it's going to be even higher. And so you don't sell. And tomorrow it might be higher or it might tank. And you don't. So it's important to have those profit taking points set in your mind and written down and commit to sticking to it when the market goes. That I can't say that enough. And it doesn't matter. You can write it on a piece of scratch paper. As long as you've committed, if you've thought through it and you've committed to actually sticking to it when things start happening. And that way you take the emotion out of it, and you will be much better off. You won't panic sell. You won't get greedy and
FOMO buy.
You won't FOMO buy, right? Because as it's going up, there's also the temptation to chase that price up. And people start
earlier, keep buying until the minute you're going to start selling.
That's right. Well, it depends, right? So are you looking to have, the biggest percentage return on your investment where you can say, man, I made 10,000% on my investment? That's cool. But if you're looking to have the biggest dollar return, then you keep buying as it goes up. If you're looking for the biggest percentage return, you buy when it's low and you stop. But again, think through what it is you're trying to accomplish.
Right on. I want to address Addis's question. Is there a way to buy XRP as a business for the tax benefits, or is opening a business for that purpose not allowed? Okay, this is what I do know, and I'm no expert in this field of taxation, but it is common practice for families that have money to start what they call trusts. Mm-hmm. All right. And this trust is an actual legal entity. So yes, you will need a attorney and a tax guy. Generally, you can get them both in one person. They're called tax attorneys. And you set up a family trust. And that family trust, yes, can buy and sell assets, depending upon how you set up the trust. Now, will that have a favorable tax advantage for you? I don't know what state you live in. I don't know what country you live in. It's your job to seek out that tax attorney, interview them, have your idea, semi fleshed out. Do a little bit of research on the internet, but that would be the route I would go to investigate that thinking, because I think it's important that we understand there are shelters,
right?
Legal shelters that can be created to protect us. That's why they're there. Matter of fact, all those little mechanisms that have allowed the wealthy to create more wealth and stay wealthy are soon going to be open to all of us who get filthy, stinking rich in this crypto space. And I intend to be one of them. And if you're going to be one of them, then keep tuning into these videos. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button, hit the like button. Tell your friends and family, if you want to be filthy friggin' rich like Jerry Hall, tune into Jerry Hall's YouTube channel.
There you go. Amen to that, brother.
Or don't.
I would add to that that there are financial advisors. There are different kinds of financial advisors. There are those who make money off selling you things that they're advising you, and then there are fiduciaries who are not allowed to sell you anything. You pay them just for their expertise. So I would say and they have their own association. You can search online and find them. They're easy to find. They're pretty much in every community. Find a fiduciary financial advisor and seek out their advice. And it might just be, hey, here's what I'm investing in. Here's where I think it might go. Can you help me think through sort of the tax implications of it if it gets this big? What does that mean, and how do I need to position myself? Whether it's a tax lawyer or a fiduciary financial advisor, leverage the expertise that's available in the market. I'm not an expert on it. I don't even play one on TV. So I'm not going to pretend to. I'll shoot myself in the foot every time. I know that. So I'm going to go to the expert and leverage their expertise.
For any of you that may be new to my channel, I do have a playlist on my channel called Beyond Moon, and it's a series I did with Cryptopolis, and we walk through everything from sudden wealth syndrome and preparation and setting goals and exit strategies to actually interviewing fiduciary wealth managers, interviewing licensed tax attorneys who have a specialty in cryptocurrencies, digital assets, and international taxation, which is of great interest to me. The soon to be filthy rich crypto Costa Rican.
Yeah, trying to figure out how to protect your wealth from taxes and other things that's a good problem to have, right?
Great problem. Hey, let's see if we can tackle CKJ Cellmate's question. Anyone
I love that name.
Post or Equity Zen for Ripple stock buys? Now, this is what I can tell you, Mr. Cellmate, that anybody dealing with Shares Post, Equity Zen, what's the one that we were just talking about earlier?
Link to.
Technically, you need to be what they call certified investor, which means that you have verified your account balances to meet the requirements to make these kind of financial decisions. Yeah. So I personally don't know anybody who's bought Ripple stock. I know a couple people that have it because they got it directly from an employee, but not through any one of those entities. Yeah, so I can speak to that.
So most, if not all of those require you to, as you said, to be an accredited investor, which requires either certain levels of bank balance, certain amount of income for a certain number of years, or so forth. They also have minimum buys. Usually they're around the $10,000, $10,500 range for a minimum purchase. So that rules out a lot of us from participating in this. I love that picture.
Do you know BZ, Mark?
No, I don't.
Oh, he's great. He is freaking great.
That's awesome.
I didn't know this. So I didn't know BZ before he started commenting on videos that I do. he has his own little YouTube channel, and I went there. I want to check this guy out. This is a dude that actually does stand-up comedy.
Oh my goodness.
In front of people and makes them laugh. And he's got this kind of raunchy locker room humor that I really, if you dick jokes and fart jokes will make me laugh all night long, right? I'm kind of primitive that way. And he hit me right in my funny bone. So I've had the good fortune of we're connecting offline, and he's really, really funny.
That's wonderful.
Okay, how does value in the protocol tie into the value of the token based off of what Glenn Hutchins said in his analogy? So why is the real value the protocol? Mark, you want to take this, or you want me to jump in first?
Let's tag team it. What if we do that?
Okay.
All right. So do you want to go?
No.
Okay. We both have an opinion, and we probably agree.
No, you go and you're my guest. You go first.
Oh, well, thank you. You're too kind. So the analogy I've heard is that if it had been possible to invest in the protocol that led to the creation of the internet, whether it's HTTP, HTTPS, TCP/IP, and so forth, if it was possible to buy some of that, to own a stake in that protocol, imagine what that would be worth if you got a cut every time it was used. This essentially gives us a stake. Buying XRP I believe it gives us a stake in the protocol. It's not the protocol. XRP is not the protocol. There are protocols that are underlying this new Internet of Value that's going to emerge. Interledger protocol, XRP ledger, and all that. But XRP is integral to all of that. It's not the only thing that can run and benefit off of those protocols, but it's the one that was designed in tandem with them. They were designed to work really well together. So while it won't be the only thing, it will, in many cases, be the most efficient thing, which will then attract more use. And so, can you buy the protocol? No, it's public now. It was given to W3C. But can you buy the thing that is so close to it that when the protocol is used, and they will be used, when it's used, you will get some kind of benefit from it? Well, I think that's what XRP is. So no, I'm right there too. It's, if I could bring peanut butter and jelly sandwiches to shave a couple of bucks off the daily expenditures to buy some more XRP, I would absolutely do that. So back to Mickey's question. I think Glenn Hutchins' analogy is absolutely right, and I think that's part of the potential. That if this thing works, it works spectacularly. It does that dent in the universe thing. If it doesn't, okay, fine, it doesn't. But I don't think that's very likely. What do you think, Jerry?
I saw it. I had a different spin on that, and the spin that I had on it was that what Glenn was basically saying is that to own the protocol is where it's at. Now, how do you monetize that protocol? Well, Ripple figured out a way to monetize what they call their network, right? Through offering software sales, maintenance fees, and I believe even a super, super, super small per transaction fee. So Ripple's already gained the XRPL with RippleNet. That is an actual revenue generator, right? And it's going to have monthly subscriptions or yearly, as well as transactional revenue coming into the company. Okay, that's great. What about for the public? Well, if in fact if capital does always seek value over time, then whatever instrument is used to convey that value from originator to recipient whatever does it the best. And best is a big word, and hopefully you folks are understanding the context where best is fastest, cheapest, most reliable, most repeatable.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's when I say best, I'm actually saying those 4 things, but I'm putting into 2 words, the best. Capital will follow value. And if XRP is the best, it will be the one that gets the most capital in the end, as the users of the network see the variations. It'd be no different than if you're out car shopping and this car is faster, better looking, or suits, hits the points that are important to you more so than that car, and this car is even less costly than that car, then this car over here is your obvious choice.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Well,
that is a rational decision.
It's a very rational decision, and it's one that hasn't been, I think, in play in the larger crypto space since I've been here, evidenced by the fact that XRP isn't number 1.
Yeah.
In my opinion, XRP is the best digital asset on the board as for the transmission of value.
Yep.
For
what it was designed for.
I don't see anything on the board that is as reliable, as safe, as fast, and as cheap, and as liquid as XRP.
Yep. I totally agree.
That's just kind of rational. So why isn't Galaxy Digital? Why isn't the Digital Asset Group? Why isn't Draper and Associates? Why isn't Pantera Capital? We could go on and on and on and on. Why isn't XRP the main topic in crypto on Real Vision? Why is it Bitcoin? Why? I don't have the answer to that. If I had the answer, I bet it would dispel a whole lot of things because it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. I think there's two schools of thought on that. One is they just hadn't discovered it yet. And the other is they know full well what it is, and it's being suppressed in terms of the coverage that it's getting in mainstream financial press. I'm not an insider there, so I have no idea which is which. I can't imagine though that they don't know about it. I mean, I get that the everyday person on the street doesn't know about it, but I can't imagine that the finance folks don't know about it.
Can I share something? And I'm not going to disclose any names. In my DM box on Twitter, I get a message. Hi, Jerry. I worked for blah, 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 and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay. And so I respond, hey, great. Can we get together and do an interview? I'd really like to talk to you about your work experience, blah, blah, blah. I get a reply. I'm happy to talk to you, Jerry, but it has to be confidential. I've got NDAs, da, 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 da. And I thought to myself, either this dude's an absolute crackpot or my tiny little channel got seen by somebody who said, well, maybe this is a dude that I feel comfortable sharing some stuff with, that like maybe I will keep my mouth shut. Like I can honor my word and not disclose confidential information. And in both ways, I was kind of flattered. I got a stalker. If he's a crackpot, hey, I got a stalker crackpot. And if he's shit, oh my goodness, I feel honored that somebody would even reach out and say, hey, you know what I mean? That's kind of I never expected that.
But it is still it is a small community. And we know for a fact that the folks at Ripple, the folks at the exchanges, they're paying attention to this. They're watching what's said. They're watching the videos. They're paying attention to what's going on Twitter. We saw Chris Giancarlo from the Digital Dollar Project pipe in the other day about about Brian Brooks, how he ought to be the crypto comptroller. Okay, so we know they're paying attention, right? So if they're paying attention, a standard part of their world are NDAs. So, if it was just somebody out of the blue and you had a channel that was about football, for example, and they said, "Hey, I'm an insider, I know what's going on." Yeah, they probably don't. But in this case, there's a good chance, I think, that they do, and they just can't publicly talk about it.
I don't know. I do. Hey, Mark, you might dig this. So check this out. This is coming up for my interview series.
Mm-hmm.
Already in the can, Brent Johnson, the milkshake theory, the guy from Real Vision.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So he's in the can. I'm releasing it this weekend.
That's great.
This incredible Navy SEAL actor, Dave Meadows, already in the can. I'll be releasing it Monday, I think. Guess who's agreed and scheduled coming up? I got a Bitcoin maxi named Crypto Finally, this young lady that's really into the social media element of getting the word out about digital assets.
Yeah.
Total Bitcoin maxi. Gonna have her on the show. Anthony Pompliano agreed.
That's excellent.
Another dyed-in-the-wool Bitcoin maxi coming on my show. And today confirmed, I think the interview's August 10th, Greg Kidd. Yeah.
Dude, you talking about Grand Slam. That's amazing.
Stuff is happening, man. This channel, you folks, you audience, you are the absolute most incredible. Oh, and for those that didn't catch my video that I put out today, I publicly announced it. A joint venture between JerryVHall and Mickey B. Fresh, a new show called The Deep End, where we're going to take topics, and each show will be a deep dive into this topic, whatever that topic is. Like one that we're really thinking about is a question: what happened to MoneyGram?
Oh my goodness!
Yeah. What happened to MoneyGram? Why is that MoneyGram? Why is MoneyGram not doing 80% of the U.S. dollar in the Mexican peso? Why? If XRP is so good and the tech is so good and they've got all the licensing, why is that not happening?
Yeah,
I want to know. So we were thinking, if we don't get the answers we want over the internet, we're actually going to go to MoneyGram, knock on the door, and demand the information.
Well, you go. That's awesome. Well, congratulations. I tell you what, you've lined up an incredible roster of guests. I can't wait to watch those shows. Those are going to be fantastic.
There's a time, I think it's time, Mark, that we put flags down.
Mm-hmm.
We put down the XRP flag. We put down the Bitcoin flag. We put down whatever flag. And we recognize that we've truly been in a nascent market that is now starting to get some exposure from the grown-ups. And the dream that we always knew were 5 dots away 2 years ago,
right,
are starting to actually materialize themselves before our eyes right now. And so what do? Well, I'll tell you my strategy. Try to stay calm.
Yeah.
Right? I'm on half rations for the crypto Kool-Aid.
Mm-hmm.
And I am
that's hard to do because it's addictive.
It is. That's true. And I'm continuing to dollar cost average into the projects that I believe are the ones that I am willing to hold long term, because I've discovered I am a shitty trader.
I'm terrible.
I'm not a crypto trader. I'm not good at it.
No. Like I said, every time I tried to do it, it was like shooting myself in the foot with a nail gun. I'd say, I got this amount that I'm happy with, but it just went down. And I know it's going to go back up. It goes up, and I say, I'm going to sell it so I can, when it goes down again, I can buy it back in and have more. Every time I totally hose myself. So, before we move too far away from Greg Kidd, there was a story that he told that I think is one of the most powerful, for me, was one of the most powerful stories I've heard in this whole space. And that's the story about him at the poker tournament or the poker game. When he first found out, already made his money, didn't need the money, but he first found out about about Ripple and XRP and all that. And by the end of that game, He walked out and said he felt like Moses coming down off the mountain with a new vision. Wow. Okay, so he heard the gospel straight from the Ripple guy, or straight from folks who were connected to the Ripple guys. And it was that powerful that he had to get in. That says a lot. And the fact that he got in, did his thing, and then got out and still is crazy enthusiastic about it. That's powerful. And one other thought that popped into my head. You would ask earlier about the crawl, walk, run.
Yeah.
That might, I know that Brad has used that a lot. I'm thinking that might not be the best metaphor. I'm thinking it might actually be.
Hang on 1 second. Mm-hmm. Okay, for those of you that are not willing to put your XRP maximalism flag on the ground, cover your ears, because this could be considered sacrilegious. Go ahead, Mark.
I'm not a maximalist. You know, I try to be a pragmatist, right? So, you know, if there's something.
Humorist.
Yeah. So, so what if it's not crawl, walk, run, which is sort of a normal evolutionary approach, right? You develop in these stages, and it's kind of predictable and all that. What if instead it's you're on a track and you're doing a run, but this is a competition, and you got your track spikes on, and you've gone and you've loosened up and you've stretched and you've warmed up, and you might have done, you know, a couple of little warm-up trots, and then a couple little speed bursts, and then you loosened up, and then you get in the starting blocks and you're down in position and you're just waiting for the starter's gun to go off. What if what we've been watching is Ripple getting warmed up, Ripple starting to loosen up and get ready for the race, but never coming out of the blocks yet? So what if this OCC thing is, maybe it's not the starting gun, maybe it's the runners on your marks announcement?
Well, that is an interesting analogy. I could totally see that. Now, I also am a realist, right? I'm a realist, and I know that nothing turns on a dime, right? Except for, whether or not I'm going to have vanilla ice cream or chocolate ice cream. That's about the only thing that can go like that. I'm seeing this announcement with this clarity that came from the PDF, because it's not just about custody. It's about being able to transact in these digital assets. It opens the door to an entire industry of ancillary entities, i.e. your wealth managers, your crypto tax attorneys, or soon to become crypto tax attorneys. Oh, yeah. Anybody that is managing and holding money in banks for their clients, that is everybody. Mm-hmm. That's everybody. That's everything. All value is held in banks, with the exception of a tiny little fraction of the crypto community that has them in their Ledger Nanos.
Yeah.
I think all other forms of value are held by the bank, whether it's your gold in a vault, mm-hmm. whether it's your stock in with a custodial company like CompuServe or Bank of International Settlements, what have you. Same with bonds, and your dollars are, not necessarily in a vault. They're kind of on a ledger in a bank. You know what I mean? Yeah. So the banks already hold everything and conduct and do business with everything. This opens the door to everything. Sure. I think the deal is who's coming to market first. Yeah. That's the thing to watch. Will it be Bank of America with the Ripple relationship? Will it be JP Morgan with their Ethereum-based product, right? Will it be somebody like Goldman Sachs that says, F all of you guys, we're just buying Coinbase?
I think the answer is yes to all of that. They're going to be tripping over each other. When I said it's like a land grab, like, the Oklahoma land rush, I think that's what it's going to be like. I think that they are all moving out and trying to do it. And so some of the evidence that it's about to pop off is going to be when they start rolling out their marketing products, when they start, not that we would ever know this unless somebody shared it, start their training materials for the financial advisors, for the bankers and all that. When we start seeing mergers or acquisitions where the Coinbases and all that start to get either partnered with, merged with, or bought up, that's our clue that it's getting real. The challenge, though, for us is by the time it's obvious, and by us, I don't mean everybody in this room, who's already in this space. I mean us being just regular people. By the time it's obvious, it's too late to make the big money.
Right.
So the time to get in is when it's not obvious.
Or how about
what's the obvious thing?
The time to get in is when it is obvious to everybody that knows anything.
Right.
Like this document coming out.
Right. But they're not going to tell it.
Another $1,000 I would be buying right this second.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But what's the obvious play right now to just the man on the street? It's to go buy stock.
Yeah, he has no idea what this, he has no idea this exists.
And why is that the obvious play? It's because the stock market is setting all-time record highs. Well, if it's been going up for 10 years and it's setting new highs, I better be getting in on that. Because we look at past performance as an indication of what it's going to do in the future. And that's true until it's not. It's true until there's a downturn.
XRP. When is XRP ever going to go up? It's been at 20 cents for so long. I've got socks that are, that are newer than the XRP price.
Right. Think about that though as a blessing.
Right.
The longer it sits there, basically in the basement, the longer you have a buying opportunity to get the deal. If you think about it's on sale and it's been on sale and it's continuing to be on sale, then I have an opportunity, and this goes back to your question about dollar cost averaging, I have an opportunity to continue to add to my holdings.
And
once it starts to go
below 20 cents.
Yeah.
Yeah, dollar cost averaging, if your overall cost is larger than 21 cents, every token you buy now incrementally drops your overall cost per token down.
I told you I started out at about $3.50, and it's been going down essentially ever since then, and I've still been buying. Big and not discouraged, because I believe that Ripple, the company, the partnerships they're building, the stellar team that they've assembled, the protocols that they've created, the policies and regulation that they have influenced, somebody's moving that stuff behind the scenes, and I'd bet a huge amount of money that Ripple's involved in that. I will continue to buy as long as it stays low, and once it starts popping off and going up like crazy, and starts to be in the headlines, once you see it on MSNBC or Jim Cramer starts yelling about it, the time to make that really big money is past.
Okay, we'll see on that. Again, I think everything is relative to the individual. So if your cost is above 20 cents, every token you buy brings your overall average cost down. That's smart. That's just smart investing.
That's right.
If you believe in XRP, if you don't, and you need the price to go up so that you can get out, then everything I said does not apply to you.
Right.
Everything I say is only applying to the long-term holder who understands and sees the vision that you and I both see. If your average cost is above the cost it is today, then today is a good day to lower your average cost by purchasing some more. There's a question I want to get to for Wade, but there's also a statement I want to make to the audience, and that is I see 89 people are currently watching you and I right this second. I'd like to ask you, if you haven't subscribed to the channel and you like this is what I do all the time in different ways, whether it be interviews or my own commentary 15-minute videos or these Friday night live streams. Hit the subscription button, hit the notification bell. If you're watching this and you haven't hit the like button, hit the like button.
Hey, Jerry,
what?
Stop for a sec. Okay, everybody, we're going to hold for 10 seconds. Go hit the like button. Go hit the subscribe button. Did you do it? If you did it, thank you. Awesome.
Oh, feel it. It feels like I'm getting tickled. I love it. No, I want to draw your attention. Wade Hutchins asked a question.
Yeah.
We haven't discussed DeFi entities, the Celsius, the Cred Earns, or the Nexos.
Yep.
You have a thought, opinion, or a viewpoint of these entities?
Yeah, it's like when I go into an ice cream shop and they've got like too many flavors for me to pick from, and I want them all. I think Celsius is amazing.
Okay.
I think Cred is amazing. The ability, if it would offer nothing more than the ability to continue to make money on your what you've bought, your asset, without selling it. You hang on to your XRP or your Bitcoin or whatever you bought, and as it goes up in value, you're able to get, because you've staked it on one of these platforms, you're able to get paid. And if you have it roll back in, then your interest is earning interest. You're able to get paid without ever having to part with your principal. That's amazing.
Isn't it?
So if you buy something like XRP, for just theoretically, and it goes up, it doubles in value. Well, the all-time high was $3.84, and it's 20 cents now. So is it going to reach its all-time high again? I have no doubt that's going to happen. But okay, so as it's going up in value, the ordinary person would be tempted to sell it and take the profit and run. But with these platforms, you don't have to. You let it continue to appreciate in value, and you just take the interest that's spinning off of it. I think it's brilliant. So yeah, I love Celsius. I love Cred and Cred's partnership with Uphold. I think if you're not a customer of either one of those, and I'm not getting paid one way or another, but I would say check them out. They're both legit. They're both fantastic operations, and I believe in both of them. I do business with both of them. So I would say, yeah, absolutely, 100%.
That's really cool. I didn't know that you were a Celsius client. I knew you were an Uphold client because we talked about it before. I am an Uphold client. I'm not getting paid by Uphold, but I can tell you they, in my opinion, are the best in class for accessibility, ease of use, direct access to my ACH to my bank account, of any of the U.S. companies. And I also have a Coinbase account, and I also have a Bitstamp account, and I also have a Kraken account. And my favorite is Uphold. It's just so.
I think we talked about this on our last online session. Uphold had me sold when they came out with the debit card. Yeah. And I did the pilot program with that. And the day we were at work one day and went down to the cafeteria, and I said, I'm gonna do an experiment. I'm gonna see if I can buy my lunch with gold. Well, normally you can't do that. But I went on, I opened up the Uphold app on my phone. I said, I selected gold as the asset that I wanted to spend. I got my lunch, went to the checkout, swiped my card, and they got their dollars, and I spent my gold, and I thought, that's the future. Well, here's what they're rolling out now. Apparently, Uphold has a partnership with Link2, where you'll be able to, if you wanted to spend your XRP on Ripple stock, you'd be able to. Or if you wanted to spend your Apple stock on Ripple stock, or on gold, or on XRP, or that's the future. That is absolutely
cross value swapping, you bet, and instantaneously.
Instantaneous. Everybody gets what they want. The fees are low. The transaction happens instantly. That's brilliant. And they're adding, they've got precious metals, they've got cryptocurrencies, they've got fiat currencies, and they've started adding stocks on there as well. That's the future. But that's what you're going to get with your banks too. So it's not just going to be go to.
Yeah, it's not unique to Uphold, but check this out. They are leading the way in this.
Absolutely.
And they are also partnered with Global ID, right?
Mm-hmm.
They are also part of the Pay ID initiative, right?
Yeah.
They are forward thinking. See, of any of the ones that don't get gobbled up, I don't think Uphold will get gobbled up. I think a Gemini will go before an Uphold. I think Kraken will get bought before an Uphold. Remember, Poloniex already got purchased.
Yep.
Right. Not a lot of people are talking about that. Coinbase, I don't know about Coinbase either. I think it depends on what their board and the early investors say, right? Yeah. If the early investors say, "Hey, go ahead, let's make this deal with JP Morgan or Sachs or whoever, Citibank,
right?
Let's go ahead and make this deal," then I think it'll happen. But they have a good chance of going public. Obviously, we know Ripple has a solid chance going public. Uphold looks like they want to go public.
Mm-hmm.
It's in their roadmap, so this is wonderful. Yeah,
I think for all of these, I think, and this applies to Ripple too, because I've been, as this notion of Ripple doing their IPO comes around, I've been thinking, Brad had said, we won't be the first, but we won't be the last, and sort of hinted that it would be within 12 months. I think for big institutions, certainly the big banks, the big commercial banks, but maybe even governments, to be working very closely with the Ripples and the Upholds and the Coinbases of the world. They can't be private companies. I can't imagine that they would allow them to be private companies.
Right.
I think they actually either have to be bought up by a public company or have to do their IPO, if for no other reason than the public disclosure and reporting requirements that you get once you're public.
Really? I see the counterparty risk being more for bonding and licensing. And I don't know if it's necessary to be a public company to have all those licenses and bonding requirements. That would be the financial backstop or insurance, I guess, is where that comes from. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. Id Addis, yes, you can ask a question at the end, but there was one in here that I wanted to get to because it made a lot of sense and it talked about risk. The one thing I would encourage anybody who's thinking about assets that make them money without having to use your time or any additional financial resources is always weigh the risks. For instance, I'll give you two examples. You take X amount, let's say $500 worth of Bitcoin or XRP or whatever, and you put it on Celsius, and they're going to pay you, 4%, 3.5%, 4%-ish, right in there, right? And you take $500 of a staking POS protocol coin, whether it be Tezos or ADA or whatever the Zilla, whatever the other ones are, and you put it in your wallet on your computer, and it's staked. Which has got less risk? The one that you're holding at home.
Yeah.
And so what I ask anybody do when they're thinking about risk and reward, are you getting paid for the risk that you're taking? So JerryVHall operates like this. If this POS system is going to pay me 4% and I keep the wallet on my computer where I have all the control, and Celsius or any of the other products, I'm not picking on Celsius, is going to pay me 4% to hold the asset on their exchange where I do not have the keys anymore, well, I'm going to keep it at home on my wallet.
Sure.
They're not paying me above and beyond the risk. I mean, the interest that I can make on a risk-free system.
Right.
So everybody needs to evaluate risk when they're thinking about how they're going to allocate or where their tokens are going to be stored. I just want everybody to be very clear about that. This isn't all milkshakes and bubble gum, and unicorns and, rocket ships to the moon. This is real money we're talking about, and there is real risk, and you better be friggin' clear about what your risks are when your assets are not in your possession.
Yeah, Vet Bro's right. Not your keys, not your crypto. And in this environment, that's absolutely right. We know, which is why we're all walking around with Ledger Nanos or Tezos or another kind of hardware wallet. I think in the future, though, even though those will still be options, we'll have institutional custody. So this new OCC ruling opens the door for banks to do it. Now, are they actually going to do the custodying, or is somebody like, I don't know, PolySign going to do it?
Or a white label, Anchorage, or
yeah.
who knows?
And we don't care. We don't care who's doing it. But if the institution has accepted responsibility for it, and the institution is accredited and has a federal charter and FDIC insurance, then we've got a huge safety net there then. So even if they're hacked, for example, you're getting your money back.
Covered.
That's right.
Yeah, and that's important, but it's also going to be, how much are they going to charge you for this? So again, those of us that, I don't want to call me, I'm not a penny pincher, but I guess I'm kind of becoming one, thinking about it like this. If the bank isn't going to pay me more than the very safest option where I have control of my stuff, if the bank isn't going to pay me more, there's no reason I would use the bank.
Right.
That's the way I want every dollar. I want every little runyon. I've been living off of $350 for 2.5 friggin' years. I want every dollar my assets are going to generate for me.
Well, every 20 pennies you pinch is another XRP.
And that's exactly how I look at life. So you guys were making jokes about eating, top that I've been living.
I wasn't kidding. Right. I was not kidding.
Okay, well, I'm absolutely not kidding. That you just described my life. I live off of beans and rice and water. Thank you. When I'm really, really good at the end of the month, if I've been able to save up enough, I might get some actual flour tortillas. And that's the big day at the JerryVHall house.
You've been doing this a while when you start thinking, like when you're traveling overseas. And
Ecuador.
Hey, Ecuador.
Yeah, Ecuador is in casa, Roberto. Hola, amigo.
When you're traveling overseas and you're going and you're buying stuff, you're buying food, and you're in the market and things like that, you're always calculating in your head, what is that in dollars? What is that in dollars? Well, after you've been in this space for a while, everything you buy, like I'll go buy lunch or something, and I'm thinking,
how much is that crypto?
How many XRP was that? And I rethink it and I go, do I really need it? Would I rather have the XRP? And frequently I'd rather have the XRP.
Yeah. Well, people thought I was nuts, Mark. I moved down to Costa Rica. Matter of fact, I had a guy in the comments section of a video I did yesterday. He said, how desperate do you have to be to move to a third world country? And I went, desperate enough to know that I'm not getting any younger and I'm not going to get any richer. So I put my money into a high risk endeavor, and I'm swinging for the fence, and I'm willing to live off of $350 a month until this investment matures, so that when it does mature, I can live like a king, not just have a new television or, buy a new car. I'm talking about, small island of country of my own kind of shit wealthy. That's what I want.
There you go. So CKJ's cellmate made a point about ramen, eating ramen to buy XRP. Well, if that's what you're doing, think about that ramen as that's power lunch. That's an investment.
I'll tell you what, let's take this last question from Paul.
Okay.
I'll let you tackle it first. I've got a response keyed up, and then we're going to bring in super producer Brady, who's hopefully hearing my voice, for what we call last thoughts.
Okay, so there's two questions in here. One is, do we think it's being held down at the moment? And the other is, how big do we think it could get? The first one, I don't know. Is it being actively suppressed? I don't think so. That would take a big coordinated effort. Why is it not going up? I think it's just a lack of adoption. It hasn't been adopted by the big institutions, therefore it doesn't have the big demand, therefore price hasn't moved. The second question, how big do I think it could get? I wrote a paper about 1.5 years ago where I tried to analyze, based on the design decisions that went into the creation of XRP, each of those decisions was made for a certain reason to achieve something. And I was trying to figure out, based on what I knew, what those reasons were, and what would that lead to in terms of how big could it get, and how big would it ultimately need to get to accommodate these really massive use cases, these global use cases. So I think I've kind of already got, I don't know if it'll ever get there, but I sort of put a stake in the ground a year and a half ago about how big I thought that the designers, David Schwartz and Arthur Brito and others, had in mind when they were creating XRP originally. If it gets there, a tenth of the way there, I'd be just thrilled. So that's what I have to say about that.
All right. Well, I have a take on this, and it's just coming from kind of a market thing. And now the question's gone, right when I'm about to open my mouth. Oh, there we go. Okay. Do I believe XRP is being held down? Absolutely not. Why do I believe the price is low? I have a reason for that. Keep in mind that the active crypto community is not made up of the majority of XRP people. We happen to be a very loud element in the community, a very vocal element in the community, whether it be Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube. But we're just a small piece of the dollar that are involved in cryptocurrency.
Mm-hmm.
The real money that's in crypto is in Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
And it's behind projects like EOS and Tron and this token and that token. It's been dispersed widely.
Yeah.
Okay. That is why XRP is low. Yeah. Now, I'm encouraged that XRP is going to go up to a higher degree than a lot of other tokens. And the reason being is the same value proposition that I saw being a non-crypto person coming into this space. And I looked at, okay, payments are necessary in everything. They do it super fast. They do it reliably. They're cheaper than everybody else. Wait a second. And there's a company with top shelf executives running it and pushing the direction in a very laser focused way that they're really only dealing with payments. They got a very good chance to succeed.
Yep.
And I think a lot of the new money that is going to come into this space is going to come in without the bias of Bitcoin, and they're just going to see digital assets. They're going to see what the different ones do and what their use cases are, and they're going to make decisions for themselves. And I think a lot of them are going to be rationally thought out decisions and will align themselves nicely to the portfolio that I've put together.
Yeah, absolutely. I know he says knowingly.
And then the next thing is how big it can get. I can't even begin to understand how big it can get, because the same thing. Okay, Paul, I don't know how old you are. Were you around in the late 1980s when the internet was being created? Did anybody have a friggin' clue 5-6 years into the internet what the internet would become and what it is today? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Even 10 years into the internet did we have the understanding of what the internet would become today.
Yeah.
Who would have thought, Mark, who would have thought in the year 2000, let's just go 2000, who would have thought you would get on a device like your smartphone, press a button, and a stranger in his own car would come up and pick you up?
Mm-hmm.
We tell our children, don't go around strangers. Don't get into cars with strangers.
Right.
A whole business has been built around a cell phone, hitting a button and having a stranger come.
That's right.
We have no idea where this is really going to go. Yep. So let's just consider it this: the sky is the limit. And with that, I want to bring in, the very best producer that has ever managed a live stream in the history of live streams, and that is Brady. Let's welcome Brady in, everybody.
Hey, Brady.
Hello. What's going on?
So, Mark, I'm going to turn it over to Brady to ask you your final thoughts on what Brady thought was one of the most underserved topics tonight.
Go for it.
Yeah. Wait. Hold on. Is that the question I'm asking him, or are you asking me that question and then
I'm
what's
asking
next?
you
To ask Mark.
I'm asking you to ask Mark about a topic that Brady thinks was the most underserved topic of the night. And Brady, don't feel any pressure, no hype, but you're on.
Seriously.
Let me throw Brady a
Thank you.
A lifeline?
Yes, I'll give him, if I can go back to a previous topic for just a moment, I'll give him a couple of seconds to think about sort of that last question. If we could go back to that idea of the starting blocks, moving away from the crawl, walk, run into the, runners get in the starting blocks and get ready to go. I think there are a couple of dynamics that are probably going to happen that will make things happen really, really quickly. One was regulatory clarity, which we started getting with the OCC announcement. Another one is when the stock market inevitably makes a correction. And I think that's going to be when the Fed and Treasury money stops getting printed and getting pumped in there. That you'll have this massive downturn in the stock market, and the traditional equity investors are going to start to flee, and they're going to look for a safe haven. Normally, the safe havens are bonds and precious metals, mostly gold. Bonds right now are down close to zero here and in negative territory in many other countries. So that's not as attractive. It's losing a little bit of money is better than losing a lot of money, but that's not as attractive as something like gold, which will probably go up. Whether or not countries go to a gold standard, it still will go up, I think. But what's going to happen is there's this new asset class, cryptocurrencies, digital assets, that I think a lot of that money is going to flow into. I think it will initially flow into the one that they know best, which is Bitcoin, but very quickly will flow into the others, and that at some point, a huge amount of it will flow into XRP. But I think the trigger is going to be the stock market starts to decline and a massive amount of money starts to roll into digital assets and ultimately into XRP. So I think that becomes sort of the big trigger. And then you have that flywheel effect where the more money's in the system, the more useful it is, the more efficient it is, the more demand there is, the higher the price. And then all of that is in a positive reinforcing loop. So that's kind of how I see it playing out, and how I don't want the stock market to crash, but they go in cycles, and normally they're 8-year cycles, and we're more than 10 years into this one, so it's kind of overdue. So with that, I'll stop and put Brady back on point.
Brady, brilliant question, Brady. Let's say Brady. Give it up for Brady. That was a wonderful question. And
if I could bow, I would. Yes.
All right. Hey, Mark, Brady and I want to wish you well. We're going to say Pura Vida for now. Thank you so much for spending your time on the show with us tonight. This is the time where we say goodbye to our guest and prepare to just wind this sucker down. So again, my friend, Pura Vida.
Thank you guys very much. Jerry,
thank you.
Congrats on all of this amazing accomplishment that you've had with your channels now, and all the amazing guests that you have coming up. I can't wait to hear what they have to say. So good on you, brother. You're doing great. Keep it up.
Right on, Mark. Thanks, buddy. I'm going to put you in the studio for a minute. All right, Brady.
Yes.
Final thoughts, mi amigo.
So, just like what you were mentioning about the internet and how it's hard to picture, looking forward and seeing the value in it, I think that similar unforeseeable seeness, whatever, looking forward is going to be the protocol value. And I think that's the value that it's going to give global markets that are all going to be interconnected with either internet devices and or networks and everything. Mickey B mentioned it with Hutchins' comment, and Lance mentioned it with Metcalfe law. And it's It's like, because we couldn't see what the internet was going to become, the same exact thing will happen with this. We think exchanging information in real time is cool. Like, live streams are kind of new if you haven't, been in YouTube world for the past 5 years. So it's kind of like explaining to people that you can now send anything of value as quickly as information. Either they're going to think you already could, and they'll be like, oh, I thought, oh, okay, cool. Like with a credit card, they thought it was instant. Or it's going to blow their mind and they're going to understand exactly what the ramifications are. So you can't, just like the internet, you can't look far ahead and say, oh, the protocol is going to do this, that, and the other. Random people pulling up in spaceships. We're going to go have, I don't know, vacation in space. Who knows? It's like, what's next?
Interesting. Really interesting. Brady, I really appreciate you, bro. I hope you know we'll talk more on air on the after show. Yes. My final thought is for this incredible community that has been joining us, and this community has been growing Friday after Friday after Friday. And I want to thank all of you that have tuned in and stuck with the channel. I know there's a large group of you that choose not to participate in the chat. You'd rather just either listen and all that's wonderful. You are absolutely welcome. But for you folks that are taking the time to get into the chat, provide your questions, or even just make your statements or your comments, it really adds a tremendous amount of value to the overall experience, not just for another viewer, but for Brady, myself, and the guests that we have. You guys are absolutely instrumental for fueling the quality of the show. And I don't mean to put that on you as a responsibility, because it isn't. It's an observation. This show has been getting better week after week. The audience is growing week after week. The rewatches after the show is live and it's just a recording on YouTube is growing week after week. So thank you so very much. In the comment section down below, why don't you throw in some names of folks that you would like me to try to get on the show, and maybe you can even help me enroll them if they're not already somebody who know me, to come on the show and share their experience, their journey, their thoughts and insights with you. I'll get something from it. You'll get something from it. And it'll be win-win for everybody. So that's my final thought. My final thought is gratitude, and I appreciate you. So until next time, everybody, from Costa Rica, New York, and Mark down in DC, Pura Vida.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye.